Hi, and welcome back to Jen and Dan's Natural Healing with Plants, the go-to podcast for holistic health seekers looking to harness the power of nature for health and healing. I'm Jen. I'm a passionate health educator, a whole food plant-based culinary coach, and a master herbalist. And I'm here with Dan, who is a exercise specialist and a wonderful master herbalist. Together, we dive into the world of natural healing, bringing you a wealth of knowledge and practical advice. We draw from both traditional wisdom and modern science with herbs and foods to help you achieve optimal health. So, last week I talked about what we were going to be discussing today. Today, we are going to continue that conversation about building strength and healthy aging, being strong as we age. There was a term I saw last week, and hopefully it'll pop into my head because I really, really loved it. It wasn't longevity. It was something that really, as soon as you heard the word, you knew it was, active aging. I want to live to 100 and I want to still be completely independent and driving and strong in mind and things like that too. But we talked about why maintaining muscle is one of the best things we can do for longevity. And so we also want to talk about how do you recover? How do you not overdo it? And what plants, foods, herbs, things like that help us after we work out. So we're going to talk about a whole food plant-based diet. Obviously, our title is with plants. We're all about the plants. And then some of the herbs that can also help with recovery, with repairing muscle tissue, with reducing muscle soreness. I know I like to work out, lift heavy, and sometimes I'm sore the next day. And so let's talk about what we can do to recover. Before we begin, the information that we share in this podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, is for educational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. If you have a health concern, please consult your own qualified healthcare provider before making any changes. And if you have an existing medical condition, make sure that you are following whatever your healthcare provider has suggested for you. So, Dan, why is recovery so important?
Well, you hear the saying that you don't actually build muscle in the gym, you build muscle in the kitchen and at home. So in the gym, what we're doing in the gym is we're actually creating these little micro tears in the muscle. And so the body is so beautiful and smart, it repairs these little micro tears. That's how the muscle gets stronger and it actually builds up. So we have to go do that in the gym. But then we have to go home and we have to rest and we have to eat to heal these tears. If we don't, if you're a person right now and you're working out really hard all the time, but you don't ever really build muscle, you're not getting any stronger, I guarantee you you're not recovering.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree with that. Yes, and recovery is involves more than just the food or the herbs or whatever you do after you work out. Is making sure that you have actually that downtime between recovery as well. You're not hitting the gym every single day, 7 days a week. It's fine to do that as long as you're not working the same muscle groups or pushing as hard. Our bodies actually need to recover. It's funny, we were looking at our Aura rings. So my husband and I, we both wear Aura rings. And when he got his ring, he was always making sure he exceeded whatever it suggested his exercise should be for the day. If you don't know, I live on a farm. So obviously he's getting tons of exercise. And his heart health wasn't really that great. And so we looked into it, and it's because he never had a day of recovery. Every single day, he was making sure he was exceeding that exercise goal, and he was never taking a day off and recovering from that. And so that's showing up on the Aura ring, but it's the same with us. You can push it really hard in the gym, but you do need to have those days where you have those down days. When we do that, it helps us to recover so we're not as sore. It also helps to keep us from getting sick. I know for me, golly, this was a long time ago. When I was trying to really figure out what I wanted to do, I don't know if you remember a story, but my grandma challenged me to really discover my purpose and my passion, to go back and get a master's degree because I didn't want to be an accountant, which is what my first degree was in. And what I did is I got on my bike and rode my bike 10 miles every day. And I did it every single day. And I was working 3 jobs, riding my bike 10 miles every day. And I kept getting sick. And every time I got sick, I would get even sicker and sicker. And it's because I was never taking the time off to recover and let my body heal. I felt like I just had to get on and ride my bike and ride my bike as often as I could. And that you can't do that. You have to recover.
I'm glad you say this because what I find with most of my new clients, especially, I guess I don't know where they get this notion, but they think that if you're not exercising really hard and every day, you're not going to get results.
Right.
And see, here's another thing. It's not just your muscles that have to recover. It is your nervous system that has to recover too.
Thank you for that. Yes.
Because if you work out really hard, it stresses your body, and your body, all it knows is stress. And then, it's a good stress for working out, but it's stress.
Right. Well, and
And
even
so
those
you have
micro tears, the micro tear, which is
to,
what we're doing. If you're lifting
yeah.
weights, or do it. So I don't remember if we talked about this last week, but you have to do something a little bit more each time. If we're just like me, getting on the bike, riding on a bike 10 miles every day, if I did the same path, the same amount of miles every single day, I'm not getting stronger and better. My body's adapting to what I'm doing. And the same thing, like if you're getting on and you're walking, 3 miles every day and you walk the same 3 miles at the same speed day in and day out, your body gets really efficient and your metabolism could even slow down because it's like, hey, we're getting better and better at walking this mile. We don't have to push ourselves. And so we have to actually push ourselves. And we push ourselves only a little bit. I just listened to this yesterday with Dr. Tom Moorcroft. It just 10% more. Just do 10% more, that or 20% more. Might have been 20% more. I might have misquoted. Anyway, it's a small amount. Just do a little bit more, make yourself a little uncomfortable, but that does add some stress to the body. And so that stress activates cortisol. It activates our nervous response. And so we do have to relax, but we have to have that. We have to push ourselves a little bit more to get stronger, better, faster, whatever it is that we're working on.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched people throughout the years in gyms that, they work out themselves. They've never had a trainer and they always look the same year after year after year. It's because they'll get to a certain point. I'll watch them get to a certain point, a certain weight on the bar, and they never try to improve it. It's like they get, okay, this is a good enough workout. I'm going to stay at this workout for the rest of my life. And and they never look any different.
Right, right. Yeah,
So you have to, yeah, like what you said. You have to push intelligently because we don't want to hurt ourselves, but you do have to get strong little by little. And when your body gets strong little by little, then a heavy weight is not dangerous for you that if it's within your capabilities. But you also there's a lot of ego lifters too, but that's a different story and podcast. So,
right. And I want to get to the food, but how do you know if you haven't given yourself enough recovery time?
well, certain things can happen. So you may have more aches and pains. You may dread going to the gym that day. Your lifts aren't going up. You can have a higher resting heart rate. You might even be more irritable.
Yeah, I was
And,
thinking that.
there's a lot of things like that. And I think the biggest thing probably is going to be if you're trying to increase your weights or reps and they never go up. If they're never going up, you're not recovering.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to go. Yeah, if you just can never lift heavier or it's taking you longer to recover. Like if you usually so I did a heavy leg workout 2 days ago. My legs were still a little sore today. Um, but if I couldn't walk today, 2 days later, then either I pushed way too hard that day or I haven't given myself enough recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into
Um,
the food. And so everybody knows we hear about protein, protein, protein. So before we even got on the podcast, we were talking about that and all the influencers that push all this protein. There's a doctor even who says you have to have 200 grams of protein a day. And we call BS on that. You don't need 200 grams of protein. If you are trying to do a bodybuilding show, and you're training for that, because you need to be on stage, you may be increasing your protein, but you're also doing these other things that are not healthy. So if you are wanting to live to be 100 and active, That's not the way to go. 200 grams of protein is not going to help extend your life.
Not at all. And I think that what you're talking about is people that do steroids.
Hmm.
I think they're the ones that really push this idea that you need a lot of protein. But if you're taking steroids, your protein turnover increases drastically, so your body can use it. It's still not healthy.
No, don't do steroids.
But if
And
you're
if your doctor
natural,
has you
I'm
on
natural.
steroids, don't stop them, but talk to your doctor about it.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of steroids.
But if you're a natural athlete, I'm natural, Jennifer's natural, my clients are natural. You need to eat a healthy diet. I think it's when I was in dietetics it's 1.8. No, it's not even that high. Is it
Zero
0.8
0.8.
grams per kilogram?
Hmm.
Yeah. And then if you lift weights, they say you maybe can go up to zero point 0.9 or 1 per gram. Okay. But I've been doing this for years and I don't even know how much protein I get. I just eat healthy food. I eat healthy food and I get enough calories.
Hmm.
And I have plenty of muscle and plenty of strength and plenty of energy.
Talk
And
about what you
I've
mean by
tried.
healthy food, because everyone I talk to says I eat
Ah,
healthy.
oh yeah, that's a good. I'm glad you said that. Okay, so what we're talking about, of course, we talk about plants. Healthy food's going to be your beans, your sweet potatoes, all of your non-starchy vegetables. Any of those are wonderful. Your
Hmm.
fruit, your nuts and seeds. Don't overdo the nuts and seeds, though. A lot of people gain weight that way, fat weight.
Hmm.
It's just a whole food plant-based diet. I mean, it's just you want your foods in the whole state, just like you see it, like an apple, a
Yes.
mango, broccoli, and make recipes and stay off the processed food. I mean, you can have a
Yes.
little bit, but the processed food is just poisonous.
Right. And remember, carbohydrates. Like I saw, who was it talking? I heard a doctor talking about the other day, it might have been Dr. Greger, wanting them to redefine the word protein. And so with that, I also think we need to redefine carbohydrates. Like bread is a
Yes.
carbohydrate,
Yes.
sweet potatoes is a carbohydrate, beans are a carbohydrate protein. They have lots of carbohydrates, but they also have lots of protein. And so, how do you put them in a category? And how would that compare to eating bread or even white rice? Or crackers or cookies or pastries. All of those are carbohydrates. None of those should not be in the same category. And so the same thing with protein. So eating um, tofu or lupini beans versus eating an egg or steak, those should not be in the same category. They don't have the same nutrients. Yes, they are very rich in amino acids, but it's not comparing the same thing. They should all be in separate categories. So we need carbohydrates. So many people are afraid of carbohydrates. So many people are afraid of carbohydrates, and we need them. And if you do have blood sugar problems, you have insulin resistance or diabetes or another metabolic condition, which 93% of Americans are metabolically unwell, which means there's something going on there. We need to not be afraid of these whole foods. Yes, get rid of the bread. When people tell me I can't go gluten free, well, when you eat real whole foods, if you're eating um, whole wheat groats. I guess you could say that would be a whole food, but eating a whole wheat bread, that's not a whole food. And so that's still a processed food. And so I think everyone should be gluten free. We could argue about that. If you are strong and healthy, Dan and I are both gluten free. So I have to put that out there. For me, it's celiac, but all processed foods have gluten. So when you cut out processed foods, ultra processed foods, you're naturally removing the gluten. And those foods are not going to help you recover, especially after lifting heavy and things like that. I wrote a blog recently. I can't remember if it went out yet, if it's going out soon, but it's about how when I first realized we are literally what we eat. Everything we eat is broken down into its molecules, repurposed, put back together to create different parts of our body. Our cells are made out of the foods that we eat. And so that's another reason why we want these real whole foods. And so when we're training in the gym or training for a marathon or whatever it is we're training for. We want longevity, we want to be active, healthy lives, we want strong bones. What do you want to rebuild those bones and muscles with? Do you want to rebuild them with sugar and flour and things like that? Or do you want to rebuild them with the vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients that come from our dark leafy greens, our non-starchy vegetables, red bell peppers, peaches, pumpkin seeds, walnuts, these things, we want those natural foods to be what we are using to recreate this body that's strong and healthy.
Yes, and for me, I was influenced by bodybuilding years ago, but for me, it was the bodybuilders that had longevity. I mean, one of my favorites was Jack LaLanne. I mean, that guy was incredible.
Hmm.
And he's the guy that had the juicing commercials. Excuse me. He would juice. He would do juice every day. He would eat 10 vegetables every day. I think he ate fish, but
Hmm.
he was mostly plant-based and he lived to be 96 in good health.
Yes, that's what we want. That's what we want. And we'll get into more foods, but I also want to talk about water and electrolytes.
Yes. Well, water is definitely important. You have to have enough water every day because the body uses water, of course, to hydrate the body, to lubricate the joints. It also has to have water to all the chemical reactions that the body has to undergo every day to keep everything functioning. It has to have water to do that in. So, and you have here electrolytes, and you were telling me about. I think the electrolyte drinks are probably a scam, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
if you're eating fruits and vegetables, you're getting all the electrolytes you need. Potassium-rich foods, they're very important. They're part of hydration because we talk about the sodium potassium pump. Your body
Mhm.
has to have sodium and potassium to make the heart beat, to make the muscles contract.
Yes.
So if you're eating what we're saying to eat, you're going to get plenty of potassium. I mean,
Yes.
sweet potatoes, all these things have potassium. Beans, every fruit and vegetable has potassium.
Potassium for sure.
Bananas, we were saying at one time, bananas have some potassium, but they're not the king of potassium. Let's say that.
Yeah, who marketed that, right?
I don't know.
Everybody
They were
says I need
good
to eat a
though.
banana for potassium. Yeah,
They
no.
were a good marketer.
That yeah, somebody, because everybody, I mean, who doesn't know I need to eat a banana for potassium? However, if you look at the food list, it is way down on the list. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I think it's 400
definitely.
milligrams.
Yeah, I can't remember. But I want to echo with the water. So our bodies are made up of about 60% water. And so we need to replenish that water, especially when we're working out and we're sweating. Sometimes we don't even feel we're sweating. Like if you're swimming, you're sweating a lot. You might not know it. If you're out in the cold, you're sweating and you don't know it. And so we need to make sure we're replenishing that water because we have these tiny little tubules that go all through our kidneys. We have, tiny, tiny little veins and, in our lungs and the tips of our toes. We need to make sure we're flushing all of that constantly. And we want to flush the lymphatic system. We want to flush stuff out of our body that doesn't belong because throughout the day, we're creating all these different um, free radicals, oxidation in our body, and we need to neutralize that and get it out of the body. We need lots of water for that. And so, not overhydrating, but making sure you're getting, we usually aim for about half your body weight in ounces in water. So, if you weigh 120 pounds, then 60 ounces of water a day as a minimum. And if you drink coffee or alcohol, which please don't drink alcohol, that definitely will not help you with longevity, despite what a lot of marketing says. Even some very popular doctors don't drink alcohol, another podcast. But where was I going with that? Then you need to replace that. So those things are dehydrating. So if I drink a black tea or coffee or alcohol, I need to replace that with some water. So definitely don't count those. Yeah, so let's get back into the food. So tell us how beans can help with our recovery.
Oh man, beans are great because
My
we
favorite.
do need protein and we need carbs to recover. Beans have both because
Yes.
when we work out, our glycogen storage gets lower.
Hmm.
So when we refill that, and so beans hit the sweet spot. They help refill your glycogen levels. They give you your protein. They're anti-inflammatory. They help build your gut microbiome. They help you go to the bathroom. I mean, they're so good for you. They
Yes.
have iron. They're a good source of plant-based iron,
Folate.
potassium.
Yes.
I mean, and all the long was it the blue zones? They all have beans. Every
Yes.
one of the one of those people, that's a staple.
Yeah,
So
I literally eat beans 3 times a day. And people say
yeah.
you can't eat beans 3 times a day with your blood sugar. Check your blood sugar. I bet you can eat some beans. I'm not telling you to eat a cup of beans 3 times a day, but I bet you can eat beans throughout. I don't like protein powders, and so my breakfast even contains beans.
Yeah, and beans, they also have the was it the post-glycemic effect to where
Your
if you have
next
beans
meal.
for breakfast, your dinner will have a lower glycemic response because of the beans you ate at breakfast.
Yes, and what you eat at dinner will help
Mhm.
you with a better response in the morning.
And like you're saying, if they run your blood sugar up, just lower the dose, maybe half a cup, maybe a quarter, but get them in.
Right. They're just so good for you. Don't cut them out. And so what about leafy greens?
Oh, it's one of the most important things. I don't eat enough,
I don't either. I
but they're
used
so
to.
good.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're so good. They help your body build. Of course, I go blank here. Nitric oxide in the body, which, Dr. Esselstyn,
Yes.
greens help to heal your arteries because they help your body produce nitric oxide that helps heal the endothelial lining. It helps the blood vessels dilate, which helps lower your blood pressure. They have plenty of iron again, plant-based iron. They have basically they're a multivitamin. I mean, they have so many vitamins and minerals in them.
Yes. And so people will worry about that. I'll say, but they have oxalates. Not all greens have oxalates. Not near, hardly anyone needs to worry about oxalates. That is definitely
Yeah.
another marketing thing. Yes. And so, and even if you do have an oxalate issue, it doesn't mean to completely remove all oxalates. It's just being mindful and rotating greens, using different greens. If you do have an issue with oxalates, maybe not having a lot of spinach every day, switching to lower oxalate type greens, but not avoiding those foods that have oxalates, just monitoring and using less of that. But our greens, they're high in so many different minerals. And when we partner them with other foods, that helps us to better absorb those minerals. Just like it's so funny when you look at traditional cooking methods, they would add, like a squeeze of lemon or apple cider vinegar or something to the greens. When they cook them, which, and I mean, Dan and I are both in the South, so we eat soul food. And that's how um, our greens were cooked. You always finished with something acidic that helps with our absorption of those minerals. And so just adding those little techniques is really cool. And so then we can go to berries.
Well, when we're working out, we're going to build, we're building stress in the body. We build oxidative stress. Anytime we're exerting ourselves, berries are good at helping to lower the oxidative stress in the muscles, which is going to help you recover. It also helps your cells. It slows down your cellular aging, which is important. I was reading this morning, your telomeres, they can only divide so many times, and then you start to get diseases and die. Now they're showing that strength training can actually help slow down this division,
Hmm.
I'm sorry, it helps the length of the telomeres. They stay longer for longer. That's what we want.
Yes.
All these plant foods help you with the same thing because they help reduce all the stress from working out and just daily living. They help lower inflammation, feed the gut. We can talk about the gut all day. It's so
That's
important.
good. Yes. Yes. And
And
then
they're good for your blood sugar. Berries are low in sugar, so if you have blood sugar problems, they're a lot better for you.
than some other foods. Now, some people don't tolerate them as well, but it's another adjustment. So maybe you can't
Yeah.
blend them into a smoothie, but you could eat some sprinkled on top of your smoothie bowl, which I also don't drink a smoothie with a straw. Eat it with a spoon. So you're chewing and eating
Yeah.
slower. And one of my favorite foods for recovery is tart cherries.
Mm. Yeah, they're delicious.
They're
Very,
delicious. Yes.
yes.
Yeah, and they can help with sleep. They help with nitric oxide. They are very anti-inflammatory, and they're also one of my favorites. But
Yeah,
they're wonderful for helping with muscle soreness.
and they help with people. Some people have arthritis. It helps their pain because they're very anti-inflammatory.
Yes. Yes. And there's lots of other foods. So I try not to just single out certain foods, but really what we are saying is a real whole food diet, eating foods that are closest to the way they appear in nature, as whole as possible, minimally processed. Like applesauce is a processed food. You can chop up your own apple and make your applesauce, and it's technically a processed food. Now, eating the apple can be better for you than the applesauce, but if you're making the applesauce for yourself and you have gut concerns, sometimes the applesauce is better for you than the raw whole apple. So it just depends on where you are on your health journey. Now, I'm not saying apples are helpful for muscle recovery. They may be. They are great for the microbiome and for gut health. But my point is eating foods as close as possible, the way you tolerate them, to nature. So let's talk about some of the herbs before we wrap up today. So what are some of the best herbs for muscle recovery?
Well, and turmeric's high on the list because
Always.
and there's so many studies on turmeric because they have found a way to isolate the curcumin, but that's another story.
Yeah, yeah, we would prefer you have the turmeric, right?
But turmeric helps a lot because it's a really good anti-inflammatory. I have clients that I have one lady, she has a lot of joint pain and she complains a lot, but then she found a turmeric supplement on Amazon. And I don't sell it, I'm just sharing it for me. It helped her so much.
Yeah,
It's
I
an
have one too.
amazing herb.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't take curcumin myself, but I've had a lot of clients who tell me they feel so much better when they take their curcumin.
Yeah, and it doesn't have the side effects like your NSAIDs, like Tylenol and
Yes,
all
yeah,
those other
please don't
things.
take those. Yes. Oh, I shouldn't say that, medical disclaimer, but the NSAIDs are so bad. They're so bad for us.
Yeah, they're bad for your gut, your liver, all that.
They
It's
change, yeah,
something.
they
Yeah.
change how your body responds to pain. And so,
Yeah.
yes, and you say, I only do it every now and then. Yeah, but then you're setting yourself back. And so finding more natural methods is so important. And then my favorite herb is ginger. And I think that ginger and turmeric probably are both as effective, but there's more studies on turmeric than ginger because of the curcumin. But
Yeah.
ginger is my favorite, and not only for muscle recovery, it's been shown to help with muscle soreness, but also for pain as well. I've said this on the episode several times. My daughter, when she'd go get her braces tightened, we would always drink ginger tea on the way home from the orthodontist, and she never even, had to take anything or felt like she had any soreness. When I remember when I had my teeth tightened, it hurt so bad. She never had any of that, and so we use ginger as our pain medication here at home. But it's also been shown to help with sore joints and things like that as well, just like the turmeric.
Another one that I hear, well, it's actually they have rosemary because rosemary, I mean, it's good for your brain. It helps get blood to your brain, but it's also very high in antioxidants again. So it's another food that helps with inflammation and oxidative stress. So
Yeah, and microcirculation, which we're having those
yes,
tiny tears. Tiny tears. We need repair,
yes.
so we want that blood flowing to the area to help carry the nutrients that we're eating in our food to that area to help to make those repairs.
I'm glad you brought that up because microcirculation, especially as we get older, it starts to get stagnant. And so
Yeah.
that causes a lot of problems. We want to keep those, we will keep all, I mean, I'll always say circulation, good circulation is the key to good health. It really is.
Yes. Yes. Another one of my favorites is nettle. Of course, that's what I wrote my thesis on was stinging nettle, but it's it's our leafy green with the most nutrients in it, vitamins, minerals, super mineral rich. And not only do we need we hear all this marketing about protein for recovery and muscle building and blah blah blah. If you don't have the minerals, you're not going to have the repairs that are needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me,
It's
stinging
better than
nettles.
taking, yeah, it's better than taking one of those pink tablets, multivitamins. I'm not, like something at Walmart. Your body
Yes.
probably cannot break that down. I'm going to
Right.
tell you.
And then, we didn't talk about these before we turned on the podcast, but even like Eleuthero or Siberian ginseng, lots and
Mhm.
lots of studies, even, from hundreds of years ago, soldiers would take Eleuthero to help with muscle building and recovery.
Yes. It's good for high stress. It helps lower the cortisol, which we do have a cortisol response to heavy training, but
Yeah, yeah,
and so that's also ashwagandha. I know that everybody can't take that one, but it also it helps the cortisol, it helps lower the cortisol. Also, they're saying that ashwagandha can help increase your testosterone. I've seen studies on that now.
yeah.
But I don't want these people that jump on that bandwagon about you need to be on TRT. I think it's another marketing gimmick
I think so too.
and it can hurt your health.
I think so too.
So what
Yeah.
we're telling you, eating whole foods, working out and getting rest, that will
Staying
help
hydrated.
your hormones.
Yes, yes. And getting sleeping at night,
Oh
getting
yeah.
good quality sleep. And the studies show you really do have to go to bed 10 o'clock. Like
Yeah.
we get our deepest sleep those first few hours that we go to sleep. And so like between 10 and 2 a.m. is when you're going to get that deeper sleep. And so if you're waiting until midnight, you're not even allowing your body to go into that deeper sleep. Or you're not allowing it enough time to get that deeper sleep. And so going to bed, preparing yourself before 10 p.m. to go to bed, but getting that high quality sleep is so important to helping with recovery because that's when we do our best repair, and not eating 2 3 hours before you go to bed because you don't want your body to be processing glucose. If there's glucose out in the blood, then we don't have the growth hormone that comes out to help with that repair. And so going to bed when you have a full stomach or you haven't had enough time for your blood sugar to come back down after your meal, which it goes up, it's going to move a little bit when you eat. If you're not letting it come back down before you go to bed, your body's dealing with that. And energy is going to digestion, and instead of helping you sleep and helping you to recover.
Yeah, sleep. I'm glad you brought that up. It's so important, especially as we get older.
Yeah.
I often say you can do all these great things. When in your waking hours, you can eat right, you can work out, but if you're not sleeping, you're not getting the benefit of all those things. I mean,
Right.
you'll get benefit, but not as much as you could get if you're sleeping. Sleep.
Yes. Now, before we go, let's bust some myths. So, Dan, do you use protein powder?
No, not anymore. Not when I used to when I was young, but then I
Yeah, me
started to
neither.
realize it was marketing. It's marketing.
Yeah. Who could benefit from protein powder?
Oh, somebody who is very fragile. Maybe they've been sick. Maybe they've been bedridden in the hospital. Maybe the elderly that just don't like to eat and they're very frail. People that have poor appetites or are very frail could benefit from it. I was actually frail at one point. That's another story.
Yeah, we should talk
And
about that one.
I took protein powder to get to
Yeah.
recover.
I used
Yeah.
to use protein powders as well, but I do want you, if you do use protein powder, make sure you're looking for some that are just single ingredients. We just have to remember, protein powder, that's another highly processed food. And if you're buying some of them, they come with, a million different ingredients. And what if you're sensitive to one of those? Then you're adding
Mm.
something to your body you're sensitive to that's not going to help you recover very well. You can buy some that are single ingredients. There's pumpkin seed protein powder. There's mung bean protein powder. And they're available. Just Google it. So if you do use one, I don't use any either. You don't need meat. You can get all your protein from plants. We've already said that a million times today. You can get all the protein that you need from plants. So I have tracked, just because I work with clients and I want to make sure that I am teaching them in the right way to get enough protein in each of their meals. Because a lot of times people will think I ate this salad, it's really nutritious, but then I'm hungry an hour later. It's because they're not eating enough calories and not enough of a variety, and maybe they're not including foods that contain protein. But so I track, and I usually get about 80 grams of protein without any protein powder, without any meat. And it doesn't have to be the way I was taught in the 90s. You don't have to eat combination of foods, our body recycles amino acids. And so it's not important. Like I was taught, having something like a peanut butter toast will give you all the amino acids because you have the grain from the whole wheat and the legume from the peanuts, and that combines. Well, that was proven false. I don't know why they marketed that to us. And don't eat the toast. We can get everything that we need from our plants.
Oh yeah, there are professional athletes now. They're whole food plant-based, and all of them that I read the interviews, all of them
Mhm.
said once they went whole food plant-based, that their recovery their performance went up.
Me too. All of a sudden, I became a runner. And if anyone is listening that knew me from high school, like, wait, what? I was not the kid that you called. Like, I was the last pick in PE. I'll say that. And so all of a sudden, when I went plant-based, my daughter was training to do cross country and I started running with her. And all of a sudden, I became a runner and ran 5Ks and things like that and was lifting heavier in the gym and not being sore the next day. It was crazy. It's crazy how much better your body does when you're eating real whole food, plant-based. So, what are some practical takeaways? Some things, if you do these things, it will help you recover better.
Well, of course, you got to get to bed. If you're out there thinking, God, I hate going to bed. I like to set to 12 o'clock midnight. Well, if you start training yourself to go to bed at 10 o'clock, you're going to start to love it. Look, I used to be one of those people. I go to bed at 12. I go to bed at 10 now,
Mhm,
and it's a habit. All these things, you have to build habits. You have to build habits.
mhm. Yes,
So
and
sleep.
yeah, and being consistent.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah, consistently working in the gym, consistently stepping it up a little bit, being consistent with your rest and recovery as well. Eating colorful plant foods. My number two rule, eat the rainbow. Number one is always read the ingredients. Make sure you know what you're eating. If it's not something in the produce department that you can tell just came from the ground or the earth or the trees or whatever, we want whole food plant-based as much as possible. If it's not that way, read the ingredients, making sure that you're choosing, clean. If you're buying nuts and seeds, do they have added oils and salts? Have they been heated too high? If you're buying roasted almonds, you have to think about that. What heat were they roasted at? Did it damage the oils in there, those natural oils that we want? And so paying attention to that also for another podcast. But we want number one, read the ingredients, and number two, eat the rainbow. All of your meals should be colorful and appetizing. And then using herbs and herbal teas, using spices, different colorful spices. We have to remember that even our herbs, oregano, basil, rosemary, those are dark leafy greens. So if you're having trouble getting in enough dark leafy greens, are you adding those to your plate?
All those are really good. If you're not doing it like I just said, I get clients that are they look at me like I have two heads when mention some of these things. It's just because they don't do them yet and they don't feel like they can do them.
Yeah.
But it's just habit building. All it is, if you start doing it, it will become a habit and you won't even think about it.
Yes. Yes.
Because, see, we have more information than ever, but people are they can't get in shape. They're still sick. Information does not help you unless you actually put it into action.
Right. Right. Well, recovery is not just for athletes. It's for all of us who are challenging our muscles, challenging our bodies, wanting to live healthy, long, active lives. We want to make sure that we're repairing those muscles. We want to be repairing all of our cells in our body and growing stronger. And we want to get those building blocks from those whole foods that come straight from nature, legumes, dark leafy greens, berries, herbs. We didn't even talk about mushrooms, rainbow foods, those non-starchy vegetables, as many colors as you can get, high quality sleep, and rest and recovery and being consistent with our movement. Do you have any takeaways before we wrap this up, Dan? We've gone longer than I intended.
I think that if you follow some of these habits, I think that you will be shocked. And if you go to your doctor and you get blood work, they're going to ask you, what are you doing? Because I've known you for 10 years and now you're blood pressure's better, your cholesterol's better, your inflammation's better. Eating whole foods, working out, getting sleep will transform your health and your life. You'll be happier, you'll be more productive.
I totally agree. Yes. Yes. So next week we're going to talk about more of the anti-aging benefits of our protein-rich plant foods. So we'll talk a lot about protein in our plants. I want to thank you again for joining us today on this episode of Jen and Dan's Natural Healing with Plants. If you'd like to learn more about Dan, go to danthenaturalman.com. To find out more about me, I am at holisticjen.com. That's with a WH. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who wants to stay healthy and active and independent for years to come. If there's a topic you'd like to explore, if there's something you agreed with or didn't agree with on today's episode, we'd love to hear from you. If you don't agree with us at all, we want to hear. If you loved it, we want to hear that too. Share your tips. And until next time, remember that true, active, healthy aging begins with nature and the things that nature has provided for us. So stay well, and we'll see you again next week.